Inside most vehicles is an internal combustion engine. A running engine produces heat. Too much heat can lead to issues like engine failure, oxidation of the engine oil, and thinning of the engine oil. Low engine temperature can cause the moisture created by the combustion process to condense, flow into the oil, combine with hydrocarbons, and form different types of acid. So your engine has a cooling system that allows it to warm up rapidly and maintain that temperature to keep these things from happening. The first thing is the coolant, which flows through the engine and absorbs the heat. Inside the engine are passages, also known as water jackets, for the coolant to flow through. The thermostat regulates the temperature of the coolant inside the engine. Once it heats up, the thermostat will open, allowing the coolant to flow out to be cooled off. We're going to simulate the engine warming up with this torch, and as the thermostat warms up, it's going to start to open. Once the thermostat is open, coolant flows over it, cooling it back down until it closes again to repeat the cycle. Coolant hoses carry coolant outside of the engine to wherever it may need to go. These are made out of rubber and they have fiber reinforcements. Most notably, the hoses carry coolant to the radiator, which is made out of aluminum, usually with plastic end caps. The radiator sits in front of the vehicle and allows air to flow through it, taking the heat with it. The coolant flows through the radiator in these little tubes. Behind the radiator are usually these electric fans that will pull air through the radiator when the vehicle is not in motion. These fans are computer controlled. Pressure caps seal the cooling system and allow it to build pressure, but they'll also release the pressure if it gets too high. Pressure caps are usually found on the radiator, but can also be found on the reservoir, which allows for the expansion and contraction of the coolant as it warms up and cools down. Inside the vehicle, behind the dashboard, we have what's known as the heater core. The heater core is like a small radiator that is used to heat the inside of the vehicle. Last but not least, we have the water pump. Now these come in many shapes and sizes, and they circulate the coolant through the whole cooling system. They can be driven by a timing belt, like this engine. They can be driven by a serpentine belt, like this engine. Or they can be driven by a timing chain, to which I have no example. So the short version is, the engine runs and gets hot. The coolant flows through the engine and picks up the heat. The coolant gets hot and the thermostat opens. The coolant flows through the hoses to the radiator, where the heat is passed to the outside air by the air flowing through the radiator. The coolant leaves the radiator through the hoses again back to the engine, where the water pump circulates it through the engine. As the coolant flows past the thermostat will close, which starts the process over again.